and sinners, ladies and sinners, welcome back to another Tuesday evening edition of the Sin City Sports Show presented by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. You folks can hear us every Tuesday evening, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, where we talk all things Vegas, because this is IE Vegas, the Sin City Sports Show. I'm your host, Cale Henderson. We're back at it again, folks, every Tuesday evening. I'm sorry I had to take a hiatus. Life kind of punches you in the face, guys. Had some things go down in the last couple weeks that you just never imagine. Now we're back. We're refreshed. Ready to go. The NFL draft is right around the corner, so we're going to talk about that tonight. That's going to be a big topic tonight. But as we speak, the Golden Knights. The Golden Knights are in Game 1. Game 1 of the Stanley Cup playoffs after getting first place in the West. Yes, home ice advantage in the West. A team that was riddled with injuries this back quarter of the season. I think it's all knotted up at 0 right now at the end of the first period. I'm sorry, we're just watching an interview. It's live right now, guys. I'm going to give you guys updates as we go. They're in the middle of the first period. I have no idea how Brossoit did it, but he kept a puck out of the goal where it was just a gigantic swarm of Vegas Golden Knight and Winnipeg Jet players trying to just push the puck in. It was crazy. It was an amazing save. Adam, thanks so much for joining, man. Appreciate it, man. You know how it is. Just for folks out there, I had a couple of friends of mine from high school that passed away in car accidents in the same week, and makes you think, man. Makes you sit back and reflect where you're at, what you're doing. It could have been you, those types of things. As long as you're responsible, you don't have to worry about those types of stuff. But anything can happen, man. So my thoughts are with those families, and one I definitely played a lot of high school ball with. He ended up playing at the University of Nebraska. He was a hell of a player. Honestly, I model what I want from my linemen, the linemen I coach, based on what Cole Penzick did. And Cole Penzick he was a beast, man. 6'2", 275. Man could bench 500 pounds before, leaving high school. I mean, he was just a monster. And he's going to be missed, man. 32 years old. Crazy. You guys know how it is, man. The Sin City Sports Show presented by IE Sports Radio. We're back at it live. There's 8:38 left in the first. Winnipeg's got 8 shots on goal. Vegas has 5 shots on goal. It is a tied hockey game. NHL playoffs is probably one of the most underrated things that nobody talks about. It feels like in American sports. I have no idea why. The NHL playoffs is one of the most entertaining things you can watch. The only thing wrong with the NHL playoffs, in my opinion, are their overtime rules. They are absolutely stupid. The fact that hockey players, grown-ass men who doesn't matter what series they're in, could play an entire game or two extra in overtime is beyond me. You think that NHL would be like, let's stop acting old-fashioned like baseball and put some viewers on the screen? The easiest way to do that, shootouts. Okay? Get one overtime in, then have a shootout. I don't care what anybody says. It's completely fair, because if nobody scored in that overtime, it's up in the air, man. Get your best 10 shooters. Let's do it. Let's do it. Adams chimes in. NHL playoffs is hands down the best tournament in North American sports. I disagree. The NFL playoffs is the most watched, most entertaining, but this is the most underrated. NHL playoffs is the most underrated. I would put them in second, obviously, to the NFL, but it's by a large margin, right? I love hockey. Don't get me wrong. But hockey is nowhere near the level in North America that the NFL is. The NFL is like a license to print money. If we were in Canada, I'm sure those dudes would be fighting me right now. If we were in Europe, I'm sure those guys would be fighting me, because nobody cares about football the way Americans care about football. Real football, by the way, not the soccer stuff that people pretend to, call what it is. Football is king. The NFL playoffs is king. The Super Bowl is king. Like, one Super Bowl game probably has more viewers than the majority of the Stanley Cup final does. All 7 games. I'm just being real with that situation. So, no, it's not, Adam. I don't agree with that, but it is definitely the most underrated. I would give it a second. It is the second best tournament in all of American sports, in all of North America. It is so entertaining. You see the best players play the best way. I mean, it's just crazy. The way the NHL playoffs happens. We got a puck stoppage. Face-off just happened, actually. I was stand corrected. 7:24 left in the first. Vegas is in Winnipeg ice or Winnipeg zone, they're trying to get some more shots on goal, man. That's one of the best things you can do. If you can put a bunch of shots on goal as a hockey team, you're going to wear that goalie out. Sooner or later, they're going to start slipping in. In the NHL playoffs, that matters because it's about stamina at that point. These dudes are fighting for something. You just see the best of the best play at this point. I'd love to see Vegas pull this one out. It'd be a big game one. It's always good to win your first game at home. Gives you a bit of a leg up, bit of an advantage, and I'm hoping Vegas can pull that out. 6:48 left in the first. We're going to touch base when we get back to that. But let's talk about the Vegas Golden Knights season. The Golden Knights were marred with injuries last season. Marred with injuries. Like their top players, majority of their top players were out 30 games. So almost half the season, almost half an NHL season, the Golden Knights were out last year. This year, they had more production from those guys because they were healthy. Not to mention some of those guys were only out a quarter of the season, and it made a huge difference. That Golden Knights team last year, guys, we've talked about it a few times, was fourth best in their division with their best players out half a season. And they nearly made the playoffs. They were only a couple points away. So that told you that if this team kind of re-geared, Adam and I talked about in the offseason, they had a lot of cap constraints that they had to work around. They made some trades. That's something that the Golden Knights have done better than anybody, is stay aggressive and do what they can to be competitive long term. I think the Golden Knights use any asset they can to get better. The resurgence of Jack Eichel this year has been huge. He's one of their highest point scorers. Mark Stone has been injured recently, but when he's available, he's one of the best players in the NHL. Winnipeg is on the power play, by the way, folks. Winnipeg is on the power play. The good thing is, actually it's a bad thing, Golden Knights are ranked 19th in power play. Ooh, man, they almost lost that one. That was barely a miss by Winnipeg there on that shot on goal. Barely a miss on that power play shot on goal, and he was open. He had a lane. I think he had a hesitant trigger there because I feel as though that wing could have easily scored there. I think there was a lane. I think it's Brossois. I think it's Brossois, which means he's a French Canadian probably. He was late covering that lane, man. I'm really surprised they didn't try and take a shot on there. Minute 17 left in the power play. Tied at 0. Winnipeg is on the power play. Skating up, trying to get to the neutral zone. Fires the puck into the Vegas Golden Knights area. Vegas shoots it out of there, man. They're playing some good line change. We got a line change by Vegas, as always. Very entertaining stuff, man. Fast pace. But back to the Golden Knights. So they had a rough season last year marred with injuries. This year, their goal was to stay healthy. I mean, they got off to a crazy start this season, guys. I want to say that they were like, it was stupid. It was like 18-1-2 or something like that is the way they started their year. And you can't ask for a better way to start your year if you're a hockey team. They finished first in the West this year. First in the West at 51, 22, and 9. Number one. So they have the first overall seed. Oilers finished behind them. Let's see here at 109. Avalanche 109. So I mean, in that order, I mean, it is what it is. The conference standing as it turns out. Avalanche, what a roar back, by the way. I have no problem saying that. Avalanche were hurting, man, at the beginning of the season. They came back hard. 109 points after like basically having Jerick McKinnon out majority of the year. Come on, man. Kings are resurging, more than 100 points. Adam, you tell me, man, has there ever been this many 100-point teams? There's 7. 700-point teams. Has there ever been this many 100-point teams in an NHL playoff? That's just the West, by the way. We're not even talking about the East, where I mean, good Lord, man, the Bruins just ran away with it. 65, 12, and 5, 135 points. They had 5 teams with over 100 points. The West, 7 teams. Maybe Adam can chime in because he's the resident hockey expert here on IE Sports Radio. Just for you folks who need to know, Adam hosts the hockey show just before us, and I think he does a kick-ass job. I used to be the host of the Neutral Zone. Now Adam's doing it and probably doing it better and in spades than what I did. when we were there, but he talked a lot of hockey today because I know he's excited about the Stanley Cup playoffs. I assume Tampa won that, right, Adam? Tampa was up 6-2 last I checked. Um, they were up 6-2 over the Maple Leafs. The Maple Leafs, man, they just can't. I don't know what it is. They just can't get it together when it comes to the playoffs. But the Tampa Bay Lightning are just one of those teams I don't think you ever want to match up because they still, even with those guys aging, Kucherov and Stamkos and them boys, I'm telling you, crazy. My co-host Zach caught the Golden Knights Kraken game last week in Seattle. That's awesome. Is that the game where they clinched? Because that'd be sick. If that's the game where the Golden Knights clinched, that's sick. Also, shout out to the Dallas Stars. The Dallas Stars. Host or the host of the Texas show here on IE Sports Radio. You were chirping me a little bit for winning a game against the Golden Knights. Who's laughing now? Who's laughing now? Number one in the West is happens to be the Golden Knights and not the Stars. No biggie. Win 50 games, then talk to me. Just kidding. But they're fourth seed, so they're not in a bad spot. I think this playoffs are going to be really interesting this year, man. I really do. So 1 and 8 are facing off. We're going to see the Dallas Stars. They're probably going to face off against the Kings. That'll be a really good series. What do you think, Adam? I mean, let's talk about that, right? Oilers and Kraken will likely play each other. Tell you what, man, the Pacific Division was just crazy strong this year. Crazy strong. Adam says Tampa is up 7-3. Toronto hates the first round. I guess, man. Dude, I'm telling you, the Lightning are a team you just don't want to match up against. And if you give them cushion, and the big thing is the Lightning are winning on the road. That's huge. If you can take one from Toronto, that's big. In Toronto, that's big, big time. Yes, that was a clinching game. Yeah, it was an excellent game all around. So Golden Knights. Let's go and do our predictions. Screw it. I know the game's underway. It's 0-0. Winnipeg's on a power play yet again because the Golden Knights love to be, aggressive. That's their style of hockey. Golden Knights are facing off against the Winnipeg Jets right now. It's tied up. I think the Golden Knights win. I'm actually thinking that they take this series 3-1 because I think it's best of 5 in that first round. If I may be wrong, Adam. You let me know. But I believe it's best of 5 in the first round. I think the Golden Knights take that 3-1. Oilers take on the Kraken. Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl just they're unbelievable right now. That's tough. I would love to see Seattle take a series in their second season. That'd be super dope. I just don't know if they can beat the who I think is the next chosen one. Connor McDavid's so good. He's just unbelievable, man. I think the Oilers win that. That could be a 3-2 game, but part of me feels like it could be a 3-1 in favor of the Oilers. Avalanche and the Wild. I'm taking the Avalanche. I think that could be a sweep. I don't think the Wild are very good this year, in my opinion. I just don't think they're that great. I don't think they match up very well with an Avalanche team that's healthy and has Jerick McKinnon firing on all cylinders. I think any NHL team, as we saw last year, is going to have a hard time. I will say this. The Avalanche have had issues in the playoffs with one team over the last 3 years while McKinnon has been there, and it has been the Golden Knights. What team did the Avalanche not play last year in the playoffs, which allowed them to kind of make a run? The Golden Knights, because they were loaded with injuries, they finished 4th. I don't know, man. There's just something about the Golden Knights style of hockey that really just punches the Avalanche in the face. Back to the Avalanche, I think they take that. I truly do. I think they beat the Wild. I don't know if it's close. I don't think the Wild match up very well against the Oilers. I could be wrong. A lot of things happen. But the Pacific, man, I'm about that Pacific. I truly believe that they have the leg up in this playoffs right now. The Stars and the Kings, that's tough. This is going to be, man, I'm going to say the Stars. I think Stars are a really tough team. They score well. Let's take a look here. What's their point differential? Goals for 280, goals against 257. It's not a lot. There's really not a lot when it comes to the goal differential there. And with that said, look at the overall positioning, of the Wild, of the Kings. The Kings. I don't know, man. I just don't see them playing very well against a Stars team that actually kind of broke into the playoffs hot, winning 8 of their last 10. I'm taking the Stars. It might be a 3-2, it might be a 3-1, I'm not sure. But I'm taking the Stars. I have confidence that the Stars win that round. So the first round, you guys hear it first. I think the Golden Knights, the Oilers, the Avalanche, and the Stars take it. And to me, it's kind of crazy because I literally just took the top 4 seeds. I don't really care. I just think they're better than the bottom 4 seeds. And it's almost a safe bet. Almost too safe if we're talking about, you guys get what I'm saying. Anything can happen in the NHL playoffs, but it is what it is. Let's go over to the Eastern Conference. I'm not even gonna waste any time. I think the Bruins slaughtered the Panthers. I have no problem saying that. The Bruins are the best team in hockey. They might be the eventual Stanley Cup champions. I would love to see a Bruins Golden Knights matchup, but even so, I still have hesitation to say that the Bruins are going to take on the Golden Knights the way they do. I hesitate. I hesitate to think the Golden Knights are going to win against the Bruins, who are just crazy this year. Adam, you got to let me know, man. Did they get the record for most wins in a season? They were 9-1 in their last 10, 65 wins, 12 losses, 5 ties or overtime losses, 135 points total in an 82-game season. They scored 50 more points than they played games. I just picked the Bruins Golden Knights as my cup final. You know what? Honestly, man, that's my thought process. I get it. I'm not counting out the Avs. Okay. I do think we see an Avs Golden Knights. There's a possibility we see an Avs Golden Knights final. Maybe not, but it is possible, especially the top 4 seeds face off. If the top 4 seeds win in the West, you'll see a Golden Knights Stars matchup in the second round. Oilers Avalanche, which would be a lot of fun to watch. Those would be epic Western Conference matchups. But yeah, I could totally see a Golden Knights Avalanche Western Conference final, no doubt. Back to the Eastern Conference, I think the Bruins landslide the Panthers. The Bruins are just better than everybody else. Carolina Hurricanes. They had an amazing season as well. The issue is the Bruins were just God tier this year. Otherwise, the Carolina Hurricanes had an amazing year. Absolutely amazing year. I think they beat the Islanders. I don't think the Islanders are there yet. I think they're still retooling a little bit, even though they made the playoffs or they're making the playoffs. I still think they're retooling. I'm going to take the Lightning over the Maple Leafs. It is what it is. I feel good about that. Rangers Devils, right? Devils. I'm going to go Devils. So I got the Bruins, Hurricanes, Devils, Lightning in the Eastern Conference in round 1. Those are my 4 picks for the Eastern Conference. Bruins, Hurricanes, Devils, Lightning. I just think the Lightning's too experienced, man. And they scored a lot of goals tonight. I don't know. Maple Leafs look like they're in trouble. They could be in trouble. There's just a lot of scoring power with Stamkos and Kucherov around. It is what it is. Tyler Johnson, I think he's still on that team. That's crazy. Game's still tied at 0, guys. The end of the first period. We're going to give you live updates as the show goes on. We know the show's only an hour, but we could spend our entire show talking about this Golden Knights playoff game. I believe the Winnipeg Jets have the shots on goal advantage at this point, but the penalty kill of the Vegas Golden Knights has been absolutely tremendous so far because they've had two power plays. They've been on the power play twice, and they've killed both penalties. Excellent job. It's tied at 0. Let's hope this stays the way it is because actually I think that lands in favor of the Golden Knights. We're going to make a quick we're going to go to a quick break, guys. When we get back, we're going to touch base on this intermission, where the Golden Knights are. Again, they're a great team. They finished first in the West. And then we're going to start diving into the NFL draft, the big board. I'm actually going to do a mock draft simulator of the first round for every single NFL team. I have no problem doing that. No problem doing that. I know this is a Vegas Raiders show. We're going to touch base on the Raiders' needs later on in the show. But when we get back, we're going to go head first into this NFL draft because it is just around the corner here on the Sin City Sports Show presented by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's happening, sports fans? Are you a fan of Southern California sports? Are you looking for a show hotter than a hot summer day in California? Then look no further than the SoCal Supreme Sports Show, where I talk about all things Southern California sports. That's right, all sports teams from Southern California. From the hard-hitting tackles of the NFL, to the killer crossovers and big three-pointers of the NBA and WNBA, to the grand slams of the MLB, to the bone-chilling goals of the NHL, and to the booming kicks of the MLS. The SoCal Supreme Sports Show has it all for you. Oh, and let us not forget about the college sports as well. So join me, Taryn Rodriguez, every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
College football, and do you want to hear a college football show dedicated to all that is college football, including junior college and the CCCAA and the NJCAA, the NAIA, and the NCAA, including Division III, Division II, Division I AA in the FCS, and Division I Single A in the FBS? Well then look no further. Join myself, Larry B., and my colleagues, Mr. H-Town Blake Henley, and Mr. Christian Espinoza, each week during the college football season for the latest in college football on 3 and Out College Edition, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Sports fans, do you like teams that are tough, cities that are tougher, and fan bases that are passionate about their teams? How about teams that are historic and stadiums that are iconic? Then you belong in Chicago, and you need to check out Chi-Town Weekly. Join me, Adam Kernan, every week as we keep up with all things Chicago sports. Bears, Bulls, Blackhawks, Cubs, White Sox. We'll cover them all, plus more. The Windy City is always buzzing, and we'll keep you up on all the big games and major stories. So tune in to Chi-Town Weekly every week right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Everybody, this is Taryn Rodriguez. Are you a fan of volleyball? Are you a fan of Thunder Spikes? Then I have the show for you, Set Point, where I cover NCAA men's and women's volleyball, high school boys and girls volleyball, beach volleyball, and even professional volleyball. Catch the action every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's good, fight fans? It's your boy, Marcus Los Great, here to give you what you want, here to give you what you need. Yeah, man. Yeah. I'm coming to you live, straight from your mama's basement with a crispy white tea. They're coming to you live every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Welcome back, ladies and sinners, to another Tuesday evening edition of the Sin City Sports Show presented by IE Sports Radio. We're back after halftime of the show. We definitely got to play some drops, especially for my boy Adam Karnick, who is in the show. Larry B, always good to hear you. Always good to see you in here. Go NHL. I know you're an NHL fan. You're a sports fan just in general. I mean, you love NASCAR, and I almost find that unbelievable. But it is what it is, man. You're always on top of it when it comes to that. So I give you all the love in the world, man. NASCAR ain't for me, but you have variety. That is 100% true. Golden Knights, Winnipeg Jets are in Vegas, the T-Mobile Arena, and they are fighting it out. It is 0-0, knotted up at the end of the first period. Winnipeg Jets have shots on goal advantage. Winnipeg's also been on the power play twice. Good on the Golden Knights for keeping them out of the net with 2 penalty kills. They're 19th in the league in penalty kill percentage. It's not very good, but they're 100% tonight, and that's all that matters, right? That's how you get them going. That's how you keep it going. So that's 0-0. I'm going to give you guys live updates as we go. But our transition right now is going to the NFL draft. We're looking at next Thursday, the first round. It's always big. It's always bad. It's always brutal. And I can't wait. I might even take the day off of work that day because I have planning to do. I got to make a good meal. I got to invite some friends over. We got to watch the NFL draft. I got to guess nearly all of the first round picks and do it right, you know? Yeah, because I was really close last year, man. You should have seen my friend. The guy was looking at me like, dude, get a life. I mean, that's basically what he was saying. I have a wealth of useless knowledge. I just need some folks to listen to our podcast and get me hired onto a network or something. That's what we need to do. Because this useless knowledge could make me some paper. So we're going to talk about the NFL draft. We got the mock. I did a whole mock draft for the entire first round. It's looking interesting. And we're going to get more in depth there. We're also going to talk about the Raiders' needs because that's a big deal. I think this is one of the most important, if not the most important, Raiders draft in the last 5 years, and this is including the Gruden area. I truly believe that. This is going to be a make or break. If we don't see promise out of this draft class, because personally, I hate to be negative, man, but I'm just being real. I don't see the Raiders finishing better than 4th in this division right now. I really don't. Even though we have multiple badass players, I just don't see it, man. I think that the Kansas City Chiefs are going to get better because that's what they tend to do. Brett Veach and Andy Reid do an excellent job. They still have Patrick Mahomes. Travis Kelce still healthy. That offensive line is back, and they're going to pound it out. I mean, listen, we can say whatever it is we want, man, but the Chiefs run the AFC West. The Chargers got better. I truly believe that Kellen Moore is a hidden is a missing link. What I want the Chargers to hear me out if you're out there. I know I'm a Raiders fan, but I'm going to say it. Stop changing offensive coordinators, man. Because if you do that, you're going to see a very, very high ceiling, great potential quarterback be, his fan base will be like, man, he's so-so, he's overrated. That's what's going to happen if this keeps up. If you keep changing coordinators, he's not going to develop comfort. You need to stick with Kellen Moore for a few years. I don't even know if Brandon Staley has a few years, to be honest with you. But I think that they can get in the playoffs this year. I do believe that the Chargers make the playoffs this year. I have no problem saying that. I think the Chiefs win the West, unless the Chargers just kind of come out and really start slaughtering people this year. They have the injury bug. Whatever could happen that's bad always happens to the Chargers. If they can prevent that from happening, they're going to be competitive. But the problem is Patrick Mahomes is just that damn good. And they're probably going to get better because Brett Veach is that damn good when it comes to drafting players. Look at the draft last year. It was fantastic. So we're going to go into that, guys. I'm just telling you. I think the Raiders are in dire need of an epic draft. Like they need a 2019 production type draft. And the sad part is they got a ton of production. They had some of the best stats you've ever seen out of a rookie class. Majority of those guys are not on the roster anymore because they just didn't cut it. They didn't make improvements. They didn't progress. That's horrible. So the Raiders have to be better. I believe in Dave Ziegler. I do not believe in Josh McDaniels. I have no problem saying this too. They need to draft a quarterback. Otherwise, Josh is gone. They need to draft and develop a quarterback. Otherwise, we're probably looking at another 10 years of mediocrity. It's that simple. Unless we tank this season and go after, the USC stud, I just don't see it. Adam Karnick chimes in and said, what position do you see Vegas taking at 7? I don't know, man. The rumors are Vegas isn't staying at 7. Like they're going to try and trade with the Cardinals. If they trade up for the Cardinals, it's because CJ Stroud is still on the board somehow. I don't see them taking Richardson. I don't see him as a scheme fit. I don't see Josh McDaniels with what we saw with Derek Carr last year, checking his ego at the door and developing an offense, or at least calling his offense around the strengths of a quarterback. A young quarterback like Richardson who's going to need time to grow. So it's tough. It's tough. We'll go into more depth about that, Adam, but I truly believe that the Raiders either stay at 7 and pick best available, or they trade up to 3 if CJ Stroud's available. But I don't see that happening. So here's what we're looking at. The rumors are, and it sounds like it's being made clear, and the same thing happened, a couple of years ago when Joe Burrow was the dude. I mean, there wasn't really anybody, I think, that truly, I mean, Herbert, I guess, was in the same class. But still, it is what it is. I think Joe Burrow was the best of all of them. People thought I was crazy, but Joe Burrow was the dude. The Bengals knew it. They weren't hiding from it. And I personally believe, even though the Panthers haven't tipped their hat, they have. It sounds like, according to reports, that Bryce Young is the guy that they're leaning towards. They're willing to mortgage their future for that kid. They have a revamped offensive line. They have an excellent run game. They have a couple young weapons with speed. I don't know if they're premier weapons because they traded away DJ Moore, but the Panthers are a team with the excellent young defense, revamped offensive line, and a run game. 2 running backs that can really tote the rock. So now's the time to draft that quarterback and develop them behind Frank Reich, who a lot of people believe was a huge reason why the Eagles won a Super Bowl back in 2016. Under Doug Peterson. It was his offense. He implemented a lot of the RPOs. Bryce Young can do that in spades. He's a very mature quarterback. The problem is his size. He's like 5'10", 5'11", and he's probably lighter than what Kyler Murray was coming out of the draft. So there's major concerns, man. If it were me, if I were the Carolina Panthers, CJ Stroud's my dude. I am tying my franchise to his wagon for years to come. I think CJ Stroud is the complete guy. I think he's a complete guy. Hey, Taryn, what's up, man? Good evening. One of the best teammates in all of IE Sports Radio. Adam says, do you buy the notion that Houston could go defense at number 2? I don't. Smells like lying. But yes, I think Houston is doing whatever they can to kind of generate trade interest. Because if something happens where it's too good to pass up, you're going to take it. I do think that Houston does like Davis Mills, but I don't think they like him enough to tie their wagon to him for the next 5-6 years. I think Houston ultimately picks up quarterback. So this is what I did. Knowing what I know and seeing what I've been seeing, I think Bryce Young goes to the Panthers. If it were me, it'd be CJ Stroud. If I'm the Panthers, I'm taking C.J. Stroud. I'm building a team around him. What he did against Georgia, I didn't see Bryce Young do that for a couple of years. I'm not going to lie to you. C.J. picked them apart. The Ohio State Buckeyes didn't lose because C.J. Stroud. Straight up. It was because of poor defense and a really bad kicker, or a kicker that just couldn't get it done when it was time. College kickers. If you guys understand, if you guys have ever been around college kickers, you understand. They do literally nothing all practice but stretch, eat, fart, kick, and then miss when you need them to make it. It's ridiculous. They get a full ride scholarship, and all they got to do is convert, 10 decent kicks per year? Come on, man. On the biggest stage, you blow up. C.J. Stroud, to me, wasn't the issue. But I digress. Number one, Panthers, Bryce Young. I think they're taking Bryce Young. I feel like they're sold on Bryce Young. I think Frank Reich thinks he can build an offense around Bryce Young. You have a good offensive line and backs. Go get your quarterback. It seems like they're pointing towards Bryce Young. It would be C.J. Stroud if I had that GM's ear and Frank Reich's ear, but I don't. So I think there's a possibility the reports are right and they go Bryce Young. And it makes sense. He's one of the winningest quarterbacks, probably the winningest quarterback in this draft. I get it. He's different than the other quarterbacks that have come out of Alabama over the years. Just saying. Bryce Young is a stud. He's just no C.J. Stroud to me. Number two, I'm going C.J. Stroud. I'm with you, Adam. I don't believe that defense crap. They need their quarterback of the future. They have plenty of draft picks. They have a second one at number 12 coming up where they can really do some damage. I think they go defense there, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. I did based on what's best available and team needs, guys. That's this whole first round, okay? Number two, I have C.J. Stroud. Number three, this is without a trade. Again, I'm stated on the air tonight. I think the Raiders trade up if C.J. Stroud's available. At 3 with the Cardinals. I don't believe C.J. Stroud will be available. I don't think the Texans or the Panthers are dumb enough to pass on those top two quarterbacks. For a Richardson, definitely not Will Levis because I think he was the fourth best in this draft, even though Mel Kiper and others disagree. I just don't see him. I don't see anything other than Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud at 1 and 2. And it could vary between the two, but they're the top two guys. And they're the top two needs for those two teams. There's no way they do that. And the Panthers are taking a quarterback because you don't trade up and give away as much as they did without going after a quarterback. It's that simple. So Panthers, I think, again, we're going to go over it again. Bryce Young at 1, C.J. Stroud at 2. Number 3, this is with no trade. I think Will Anderson is the third pick. If it were me, I would take Jalen Carter. But Jalen Carter's got a lot to leave teams concerned about. He was overweight. He couldn't finish his pro day. I think that's a problem. If Stroud is available at 3, the Cardinals will become the most draft-rich team in the entire league. 100% true. 100% true. Yeah. If they're smart, they trade away Kyler because I think CJ values the team more than Kyler values the team. I think CJ plays Call of Duty a lot less than Kyler does. It is what it is. That study clause in that contract, by the way, that didn't bother me. The Cardinals struggled this year. He struggled this year. A lot of drama. I don't get it. But yeah, you're right. If Stroud's available at 3, the Cardinals will rake it in, man. But I don't see that happening. I don't think a team's really going to just jump up and give away a couple first-round picks. It could happen, just don't see it. And I don't see C.J. Stroud being available there. So I'm taking best available to the Cardinals. That's Will Anderson. Number 4, Anthony Richardson's my third best quarterback in this draft. I have no problem saying that out loud. I think he's got the most upside out of all the quarterbacks, meaning his potential could be amazing. The guy has Cam Newton size. He's got 4.4 speed. He's got a better arm, and he's a better passer than what Michael Vick was coming out of the draft, what Cam Newton was coming out of the draft. I personally believe Anthony Richardson has the potential if he lands on the right team, and that's always the thing with quarterbacks coming out of college. If they land on the right team, if they land with the right coach, you're in good shape. It just so happens the Colts have the offensive coordinator of the Eagles who did what? He was the quarterback's coach over there before he was the offensive coordinator. Nobody wants to talk about it, but guess what? He developed Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts got a lot better when this dude was coaching quarterbacks and calling plays. That's not coincidence. Now the head coach of the Colts is that former guy. Anthony Richardson has more potential than Jalen Hurts did. coming out of college. Jalen Hurts is a stud. If this guy cashes, if he uses his strengths, he uses his legs, he allows the offensive line of the Colts, which is usually pretty decent. I don't know if it'll be that great this year, but usually pretty decent behind Quentin Nelson. If he allows the offensive line to really set an edge, sky's the limit. You could roll this guy out. You can throw the ball. He can throw on the run, or he can run at 4.4 speed. And he's big, 6'4", 244. I mean, dude, he's everything you'd like. And I totally see him being a guy that they look at. I don't think Anthony Richardson makes it past 4 unless somebody trades up. Right? But this is without trades. I wanted to do a mock draft without trades. Number 5. Jalen Carter, I got in number 5. He's the best player in this draft. Best available player in this draft. Even with the character issues. His tape doesn't lie. He's the best player overall in this draft. And I promise you, Pete Carroll does not care about the physical issue. Pete Carroll has a way with players. Players love to play for Pete. Schneider's not going to pass on Jalen Carter at number 5. I think Jalen Carter is number 5 overall pick. He's going to slide. It wouldn't surprise me if he's still the number 3 overall pick because he's that good. But I just don't see the Cardinals doing that. I don't know if that franchise can take that risk. Seattle and Pete, they have a little more equity than most teams in the top 10. I can say that. They have more equity. They got a ring. They've been to 2 Super Bowls in Pete's time. They're rebuilding. They look like an absolute beast after that trade with the Denver Broncos. Yeah, Seattle could be a problem if Geno Smith continues to play the way he does. And Jalen Carter is going to do nothing but add to that oomph to that defense. It's going to be crazy. Number 6, I got the Lions. One of their biggest needs is cornerback, especially with the fact that Okudah is asking to be traded. I don't know if that'll happen. But with that said, I'm replacing Okudah with Devin Witherspoon, who's believed to be the best corner in this draft. I agree, but he's 1A and Christian Gonzalez is 1B. And I would actually stretch to say that Christian Gonzalez has a higher ceiling, meaning he has more potential because of his size, his speed, and his athleticism. I think he dwarfs Devin Witherspoon in those categories. But Devin Witherspoon just looks like he just looks like a lockdown number 1 corner. It is what it is. I don't see the Detroit Lions passing up on that. I really don't. Number 7, I've been saying this for over a month, and you guys know this. I think the Raiders are in a position where they can't really pass on a quarterback. If Will Levis is there, and he has the potential that everyone thinks he does, he looks like the next to CJ Stroud, he looks like the best fit. He really does. He looks like a Josh McDaniels quarterback. He's got great zip on the ball. He spends time in the weight room. You know he's a weight room guy. When you look at him, he's jacked. The dude's jacked. He's over 6'3". I think he's around like 220 pounds. He can move too. So I just don't see them passing if he's available. And I think Josh McDaniels is so vulnerable after that first season and how much of a letdown things were. He has to get a quarterback. He needs a project to keep him around. I think if he has a young quarterback with the upside of Will Levis to sit behind Jimmy Garoppolo for a year at least and has the opportunity to develop him and the Raiders progress or get better, they win more than 6 games or whatever they won last year, I think Josh McDaniels keeps his job because he has a quarterback to groom and develop, and he's showing Mark Davis there's promise. I honestly think the Raiders are desperate for that. They're desperate for players in general. This cupboard is bare, man. To be 100% honest, and we'll touch more on this, the Raiders' last 5 seasons in the draft, last 2 decades have been absolute hot garbage compared to the rest of the league. But the last 4 seasons, absolutely horrid. Awful. And they have to capitalize on this year's draft. They got I think they have 12 picks. They need to land 7 of those 12 picks. 7 of those 12 picks need to be guys that are contenders for a second contract and produce. It's that simple. Quick update with the Vegas Golden Knights Winnipeg game. Winnipeg has jumped up to a 2-0 lead here in the second period, folks. Bad news. Looks like Vegas is going on the power play, though, so hopefully they can get one back. But yeah, 2 quick scores, man. 2 quick scores. And a great transition goal there. Bit of a breakaway. Nice pass during a line change. I like that. But Vegas is on the power play. Let's hope they can get a goal here so they can get within 1 against the Winnipeg Jets, who seem to be playing really hard, man. Golden Knights got to figure it out. 2-0 league Winnipeg in the second period. At 8, I see the Falcons taking a defensive end. I think they're going to give Desmond Ridder a shot. And the top quarterbacks are gone. So you take best available. Tyree Wilson to me is that guy. I know he's stiff. He's got a lot of potential, but his burst is great. So I could totally see him being a Falcon for a long time. Exact same colors as Texas Tech too. It's kind of weird. Who would have thunk it? Chicago Bears. Peter Skronsky to me. I think Paris Johnson has more upside, but Peter Skronsky is going to be a left tackle for 10 years. So I have no problem with that draft pick. Number 10, Jackson Smith and Jigba. If you're telling me you can load up the Philadelphia Eagles with one more guy with all this potential, with the potential he has, next to A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, and then you can really question, do I really need to extend Devontae? Can I trade him? Like, can we have multiple receivers? I mean, I'm just telling you. You put Jackson Smith and Jigba in the slot, or Devontae, have him move around. He was one of the best. He was a Heisman Trophy winner at wide receiver. He's smaller, faster. Put him in the slot. Have him move around. I'm just saying. If you put Jackson and Jigba on that Eagles offense, that is absolutely terrifying. 100% terrifying. And I totally see that being a move that they make. It would be an Eagles thing to go after corner or defense because Howie Roseman loves stacking the defense. But Jackson Smith and Jigba just sitting there at 10, I wouldn't pass it up. And I know the Titans would be pissed at the Eagles too because I think Jackson Smith and Jigba is on top of a lot of people's boards when it comes to receivers. But this could be a run of receivers, man. It wouldn't surprise me. You know, we saw it last year where teams were trading up. This could be the spot where teams start to trade up for these top two receivers. Quentin Johnson to the Titans. I think that's a perfect fit. He's a big physical guy. Mike Vrabel likes those dudes. If it were, I'm sure if it were up to the Titans, they'd take Smith and Jigba to go along Treylon Burks. But Quentin Johnson's available, and they need receiver help. So it wouldn't surprise me if Quentin Johnson's a Titan. I have the second pick for the Texans at number 12, Kalijah Kancey. The dude looks like Aaron Donald. He really does. He plays like Aaron Donald. Is he as dominant? No. Does he have the upside? Hard to say. But he looks like Aaron Donald the way he plays. He's disruptive, man. He's all over the place. He's either going to be your 1 or 3 technique type defensive tackle. And the Texans, who need help on the defensive line, would love to have him. So the Texans get 2 foundational pieces in this draft. I don't think they're upset about it. I really don't. And this was off of the Cleveland Brown trade for Deshaun Watson. Texans got better. They got better last year. I really like their new head coach. I do. I think Lovey got screwed, but I like their new head coach. Kalijah Kancey makes the world sense to me. Paris Johnson Jr. is available. Jets take him. Jets need help at tackle. Mekhi Becton, although he is limitless potential, he can't stay healthy. Paris Johnson Jr. will be a tackle for 10 years if he's healthy. Number 14, I think the New England Patriots take the best available player on the board, and that's Christian Gonzalez. Imagine Bill Belichick with another guy like, I put him in the same category as Gilmore, right? Christian Gonzalez is a freak athlete, man. He's like 6'2", 200 pounds. Guy ran a 4.3 40. He was nuts. He's physically gifted. His broad jump was over 11 feet. Christian Gonzalez is crazed. I wouldn't be surprised if he is drafted at 6 instead of Devin Witherspoon. I wouldn't be surprised if he's drafted at 8. I wouldn't be surprised if Devin Witherspoon and Christian Gonzalez are both drafted in the top 10 because they're both amazing. But Christian, to me, if all 4 quarterbacks are gone and the Raiders didn't trade up, Christian Gonzalez would be my pick. No joke. He is a stud. Put him in that Raiders uniform, man. He looked great with all that speed. He's a lockdown corner with a ton of upside. Green Bay at 15, I have them taking Dalton Kincaid to add to that tight end room. Dalton Kincaid is a stud. It's that simple. He can run every route. He catches the ball, and he's tough. And he run blocks pretty well, too. 16 was tough because this is where you start dwindling. I think the top end of this draft is top end. I truly do. Everyone else, it feels like these guys could easily have had third-round grades in other drafts. But because of the way the draft board lays out, it is what it is. I took I said Washington wants to continue to stack the defense. Deonte Banks, I think they are going to go with Sam Howell this year. I think that they're going to give new offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy a shot with Sam Howell because he's got the upside. He's got that ability to spread it out and throw it. I think he's got a cannon. It wouldn't surprise me if they go quarterback in this draft, but I think it'll be later. And one of the top guys aren't here right now. So I think the Washington Redskins just continue to stack the defense, which is already amazing in that NFC East. Deonte Banks out of Maryland, corner, makes sense to me. Pittsburgh needs to stack their line. Darnell Wright out of Tennessee, who could play guard, but he's a really good tackle too. That's a pick to me. Brian Breesy Number 18 to the Lions, he just looks like a kneecap biter out of Clemson. He looks like the perfect dude for the Detroit Lions. And look at that. Devin Witherspoon at corner at number 6 and Brian Breesy in the middle at number 18. The Lions are just getting better and better, dude. Anton Harrison. If I'm the Bucks, I'm probably going Nolan Smith because of his athleticism and his upside. But you need to rebuild that front because it doesn't matter who's playing quarterback. If you don't rebuild that front after what we saw last year with the injuries and stuff, you're in trouble. They need to rebuild that front. Anton Harrison out of Oklahoma is a stud at left tackle. He'll be fine. He'll be good for years to come. Put him out there, and he's used to running gap and zone schemes, pushing the ball down the field. The Buccaneers like to run the ball. So Anton Harrison makes the most sense to me. Baker Mayfield will likely start because I don't see Kyle Trask beating him. It is what it is. Number 20. Imagine this. The Seattle Seahawks end up with Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith in the same draft. Nolan Smith was the fastest defensive end in this draft. He's going to be the fastest dude. He's one of the freakiest athletes in this draft. It's like 6'3", ran like a 4.40 or something like that at 240 pounds. Put him in Seattle, that's some scary stuff. Number 21, Joey Porter Jr. going to the Chargers. Terrifies me. But it is what it is. They need another guy on the other side of their big money dude that they spent all that money on last year, Jackson. Put Joey Porter Jr., who is his dad was a former NFL player. Joey Porter, he could easily be at number 17 just because of the heritage, by the way. Wouldn't surprise me if he goes to the Pittsburgh Steelers. But I think the Steelers need offensive linemen more than they need corners right now. Joey Porter Jr. to me goes to the Chargers. Number 22, Lucas Van Ness. Baltimore is not going to pass on the best available defensive end in this draft at this point. There's just no way. They love stacking their defense. That's what Baltimore's good at. And it's going to be a top 5 unit this year with everybody returning. Miles Murphy to the Minnesota Vikings. Again, this could be a toss-up. This could be an offensive guy with O'Donnell as the new head coach from last year and having a successful season. But I think they need to stack up that defense if they want to continue keeping teams off the board and let Justin Jefferson cook. Stack up that defense. Miles Murphy has all the traits to be an elite pass rusher. It's just, can he put it all together? Can he be developed by this Minnesota Vikings team? We'll see. 24. This was tough for me because I despise the Jaguars, but I see them taking a defensive end. Will McDonald. Stacking that defensive line. They're trying to be the best team in the AFC South. It shouldn't be tough because the AFC South sucks. But Texans are going to give them a run for their money. The Titans are not going to slow down because Mike Vrabel is an amazing coach and they're still pretty stacked. Watch out for that team. New York Giants, Brian Branch. That dude from Alabama. Brian Dable, who coached under Nick Saban. He's going to love smart football players that come from Alabama. Brian Branch makes a ton of sense. Ravens still don't have a wide receiver, so naturally they'll go edge. I completely agree 100%. I'm just looking at it in terms of like what the Ravens do, but also best available, Adam. I agree with you. They need a wide receiver, but the reality is the Ravens are going to stack that defense, especially if they don't know what's going on with Lamar. I think they are confident that Lamar is going to come back, but at the same time, it doesn't mean crap if Lamar doesn't have a defense that's similar to, like, the defense is going to be crazy good. Crazy amazing. Right? Crazy amazing. That defense is going to be nuts. And as long as Lamar can stay healthy and the Ravens can keep Lamar healthy, that's some scary stuff. Really. I don't think they need weapons. They'll run the ball really well. They still have Hayden Hurt, I think, I don't know why all of a sudden I'm missing. The tight end out of Oklahoma that's really come on strong in the last couple of years. I don't know why I'm brain farting right now. They still have him. They're going to figure it out, man. They're going to get a couple receivers. It just isn't going to be when Lamar probably wants it. And plus, I'm not going to reach on a wide receiver at this point. I think there's 2 wide receivers that belong in the first round, and then the rest of the guys are second or later. And that's even talking about the Jordan Addisons of the world and the Zay Flowers of the world out of Boston College. I think there's 2 wide receivers that are truly number 1 grades. Everyone else is a second round pick. Cowboys, Bijan Robinson makes the most sense to me. I don't know why. They got to replace Zeke. Jerry Jones knows that what Bijan can do. He's one of the most dynamic players in this draft, and it just seems like a Dallas Cowboy thing to do. If Bijan Robinson's available, they're going to go for it. If the best running back in this draft is available in the first round for the Cowboys to pick, they're going to take him. Like, they want a Zeke replacement. They love Pollard. He's the Lightning. Bijan would definitely be the Thunder, and he's probably a more well-rounded back. I totally see the Bills stacking that defense with the corner. I picked Emmanuel Forbes out of Mississippi State. Bengals are going to continue to stack their offense to help Joe out, right? I think the more they stack it, the more competitive they are, the more likely they're going to get a favorable contract out of Joe. Kind of like Jalen Hurts did. He took a ton of money up front in the signing bonus, and his cap hits are minimal the next couple of years. I think it would behoove the Bengals to stack the offense and do the same thing. Michael Mayer out of Notre Dame, one of the better tight ends in this draft. He's not freaky fast or anything like that, but he catches everything, and he'd be a perfect security blanket for Joe Burrow. Number 29. This one's a bit of a reach to me, but I think the Saints have a really, really good roster. It wouldn't surprise me if they go defensive line because they need to. It's like their biggest need now with the way that this free agency went. They weren't able to get Alyamada back. They weren't able to get, what's his name, back? Streeter. They weren't able to get Streeter back. Two guys that were producers for him last year. Mozzie Smith is a Michigan-born and bred and developed, Michigan-developed player who's going to be dominant in the defensive line. Mozzie Smith makes the most sense to me. At number 30, I picked Osiris Torrance from Florida. Imagine him. That's one of their weak spots over there in Philadelphia is a guard. You got your new wide receiver, right? You got your guard. You're protecting your investment in Jalen Hurts. You're going to run the ball more effectively. Push the ball down the field more with Osiris Torrance there at the guard. Because he's going to have to help Cam Jurgens protect Jalen Hurts in a couple of years when the great Kelsey's gone. Jason Kelsey's going to have to retire sooner or later. He's having fun right now, but he's going to have to retire sooner or later. It wouldn't surprise me if this is Jason Kelsey's last year and we see Cam Jurgens out of Nebraska at center next season. Not this one, but next season. They're going to need someone to help him out. Osiris Torrance is that dude. He's a tone setter. And honestly, I'm surprised he's available, but it's just based on where the board's at. And then the third receiver off the board in the first round, one of the biggest needs for the Kansas City Chiefs because they're stacked everywhere else is the wide receiver position. I picked up Jordan Addison. I think he's going to be a guy that would develop really well in that Andy Reid offense with Sky Moore running around. I'm telling you, it's going to be some good things for the – but that's my first round. Let me know what you guys think about that first round. Listen to the show back. Tell me what you think. I think it's going to be an excellent first round. The Raiders, to me, are in trouble, guys. And we'll touch base on that a bit more in depth next Tuesday because, as you know, we're up against it. We're up against it. I'm very sorry. Time flies when you're having fun. Kind of like that hockey game. Second period, 7:29 left. Winnipeg still owns a 2-0 lead. They have 18 shots on goal versus Vegas's 11. Vegas really needs to kick it in gear, but it's not unlike Vegas to have a big third period because they've done that a lot this season. They're the comeback kings this year. You just got through that in 20 minutes. Impressive. Oh, thanks, Adam. You're always the best, man. I love my football. It's second nature to me. You guys know what it is, folks. You can tune into the show every Tuesday evening, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. This is the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'm your host, Cale Henderson, and as always, love, peace, and hair grease, folks.